Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Miss Hlebik's online reading classroom. This time, we're going to read this book by Rob Boya, Because of Mr. Terupt. Now, let me read you the blurb in the back so you'll have a little idea of what the book is going to be about, and then we'll start reading, okay? 7 kids, 1 amazing teacher, and the school year that changes their lives. It's the start of 5th grade at Snow Hill School, and 7 students find themselves thrown together in Mr. Terupt's class. Peter, the class clown, Jessica, the new girl, Luke, the brain, Alexia, the queen bee, Jeffrey, the slacker, Danielle, the pushover, Anna, the shy one. They don't have much in common, and they've never gotten along, not until a certain new teacher arrives and helps them to find strength inside themselves and in each other. But when Mr. Terupt suffers a terrible accident, will his students be able to remember the lessons he taught them? Or will their lives go back to the way that they were before 5th grade and before Mr. Terupt? So, are you ready to discover what's inside? Part 1. September. Peter. It's our bad luck to have teachers in this world, but since we're stuck with them, the best we can do is hope to get a brand new one instead of a mean old fart. New teachers don't know the rules, so we can get away with things the old timers would squash you for. That was my theory. So I was feeling pretty excited to start 5th grade since I was getting a rookie teacher, a guy named Mr. Terupt. Right away, I put him to the test. If the bathroom pass is free, all you have to do is take it and go. This year, the bathrooms were right across the hall. It's always been an easy way to get out of doing work. I can be really sneaky like that. I take the pass all the time, and the teachers never notice. And like I said, Mr. Terupt was a rookie, so I knew he wasn't going to catch me. Once you're in the bathroom, it's mess around time. All the other teachers on our floor were women, so you didn't have to worry about them barging in on you. Grab the bars to the stalls and swing. Try to touch your feet to the ceiling. Swing hard. If someone's in the stall, it's really funny to swing and kick his door in, especially if it's a younger kid. If you scare him bad enough, he might pee on himself a little. That's funny. Or if your buddy's using the urinal, you can push him from behind and flush it at the same time. They might get a little wet. That's pretty funny too. Some kids like to play plug the toilets with big wads of toilet paper, but I don't suggest you try to do that. You can get in big trouble. My older brother told me his best friend got caught and he had to scrub the toilets with a toothbrush. He said the principal made him brush his teeth with the toothbrush afterward too. Mrs. Williams is pretty tough, but I don't think she'd give out that kind of punishment. I don't want to find out either. When I came back to the classroom after my 4th and 5th trip, Mr. Terupt looked at me and said, "Boy, Peter, I'm gonna have to call you Mr. Peabody, or better yet, Peter the Peer. You do more peeing than a dog walking by a mile of fire hydrants." Everybody laughed. I was wrong. He had noticed. I sat down. Then Mr. Terupt came over and whispered in my ear, My grandpa used to tell me to tie a knot in it. I didn't know what to do. My eyes got real big when he said that. I couldn't believe it, but that didn't matter. Mr. Terupt just went back to the front board, and the math problem was going over. I sat there with my big eyes. Soon, a smile too. "What did he say?" Marty asked. Marty's desk was right next to me. "Nothing," I said. Ben and Wendy leaned across their desk to hear. They sat right across from us. Our 4 desks made a table number 3. Mr. Terupt called us by tables sometimes. "Nothing," I said again. It would be my secret. How cool was Mr. Terupt? His reaction was better than being yelled at like the old farts would have done. Some kids in my class would have cried, but not me. And somehow I think Mr. Terupt knew I wouldn't. It was his way of letting me know he knew what was going on without making a huge stink about it. I like that about Mr. Terupt. He sure could be funny. And I'm a funny guy. This year, for the first time in my life, I started thinking school could be fun. Now, as I was reading, I made an inference about Peter. I think Peter is kind of rude. I think Peter likes to get away with things, but this time he got caught. So, let me ask you this. Do you know someone or a character in another movie or in another book that behaves like Peter? And what kind of first impression do you have about Peter? Let me know in the comments. Bye. Jessica. Act 1, Scene 1. The first day of school, I was nervous, somewhat. The sweaty palms and dry mouth syndrome stuck. This wasn't surprising. After all, I was coming to a brand new place. My mom and I had just moved all the way from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean over here in Connecticut. So it was my first day in Snowy Hills School. My mom came to help me get settled. We walked through the glass door and beautiful entryway and stopped in the main office to ask for directions. A red-haired woman who proved to be exceptional at multitasking greeted us with a smile and a slight nod. She did this while the phone was rested between her ear and her shoulder, allowing her hands to scribble notes from a conversation she was having in her free ear with a brown-haired lady standing next to her. We waited. My fingers dug into the hard cover of my book. "Hi, I'm Mrs. Williams, the principal." This was the brown-haired lady speaking. She looked serious, all decked out in her business suit. "Welcome to Snowy Hills School. Can I help you with anything?" "We're looking for Mr. Terupt's room," Mom said. "I'm Julie Reitman, and this is my daughter, Jessica. We're new in town." "Ah, yes. It's a pleasure to meet you both. Let me show you the way." Miss Williams led us out of the office. I glanced at the secretary one more time. She'd be a great character in one of Dad's plays, I thought. My dad directs small plays in California where I still wanted to be. "How are you today, Jessica?" Miss Williams asked. "Fine," I said, although that wasn't really true. We followed Mrs. Williams across the lobby and upstairs in search of a new 5th grade classroom. The hall smelled stuffy but clean, like they'd just been disinfected. I wonder if the custodians had done that on purpose to make a show of how clean their school was. I followed Mom down the blue speckled carpet and past the rows of red lockers where some kids were already unloading new supplies. I could feel all their eyes studying the new girl in town. After the stares came the whispers. My face burned. Here you are, Mrs. Williams said. This is your floor. There are 4 classrooms up here, all 5th grade, 2 on each side of the hall with the bathrooms right in the middle. Miss Williams pointed as she spoke. That's your classroom, she pointed again. Room 202. Have a good first day. Thank you, Mom said. I just nodded. Act 1, Scene 2. We walked into the classroom. The teacher looked up from his desk and smiled at us. The butterflies in my stomach fluttered as if I were on a tilt-a-whirl. Good morning, I'm Mr. Terupt, the teacher said as Mom and I walked in. He came right over to greet us. Good morning, Mom said back. I'm Julie Wrightman and this is Jessica. I think she's a little nervous being a new student. My tongue felt so swollen that I couldn't talk. I settled on returning Mr. Terupt's smile. It was a friendly one. Well, this is my first day too, so I guess we'll try and figure things out together, he said. My smile grew. Your seat is right over there at table 2. You're with Natalie, Tommy, and Ryan. Being near the window should give you some good reading light. That's a great book you have there, Jessica. I looked down on my book, A Wrinkle in Time. I rubbed my hand over the cover. I really like happy endings, I said. Me too, Mr. Terupt said. I'll do my best to give you a happy ending this year. I smiled again. I couldn't believe it. My teacher was new too, and he liked what I was reading. I don't know why, but somehow he made my butterflies disappear and my tongue shrink. Things were going to be okay. Now, what do you notice about Jessica? I noticed that she's telling her story and she's starting with acts. But then as we read, she gives us a hint. She says that her dad directs small plays in California. So she's very familiar with that lingo, right? Acts, scenes, all that acting stuff. And she uses a lot of figurative language. With her figurative language, I can visualize what's going on with the story. So in the beginning, she felt maybe a little anxious. But at the end of her story, she felt at ease, comfortable. What could have made her heart change? You can tell me about that in the comments. Bye. All right, so now we're gonna read about another character from our story of Because of Mr. Terupt. It looks like his name is Luke. Are you ready? I like school. I'm good at it. I get all A's. So when Mr. Terupt announced our first math project, I was excited. Dollar words was crazy. Definitely not a worksheet problem like all the others I have ever been given. Not even close. We had to assume that the letter A was worth 1 cent, B 2 cents, C 3 cents, and so on, making the letter Z worth 26 cents. The challenge was to find words that equaled $1 when you add up their letter values. Not 99 cents or $1.01, but $1 exactly. Mr. Terupt gave us a time to get started. He wanted to make sure we understood the project. And he said he wondered who would be the first one to find a dollar word. I immediately made a data table of all the letters and their corresponding values. a quick reference for me. Then I started putting down the word that came to mind that had some of the bigger letters in it, like pretty equals 104, walnut 91, Mr. 84. Then I thought, hey, wait a minute. What if I just tack on the letter S? Misters 103. No good, but very close. I figured this could still be worthwhile strategy for other words. So there I was cranking out words, trying to find the first dollar word of the year, when what do I hear? Peter and Alexia. This is the 4th year Peter's been in my class, and the 3rd time with Alexia. Peter's funny, but sometimes he gets to be too much. If I'm concentrating on my work and he just wants to joke around, it annoys me. But I like him. He's fun, and he's no stranger to trouble. Alexia, on the other hand, is always involved in some girl war. That stuff I don't get. She loves to wear flashy clothes, dresses, skirts, fancy shoes, and she always has the accessories to go with them. And she says the word like way too much. Alexia isn't a stranger to trouble either. She and Peter are a good match. Peter elbowed Alexia. Then I heard him whisper a word to her. That's not even close to $1, I thought. 53, Alexia said. Not good, try. Were they crazy? They were trying out rude words and giggling the whole time. I just knew they were going to get caught. That's no go either, Peter. Peter said. Maybe. What a butthead. As soon as I thought it, I knew it was worth of calculating. Sure enough, butthead equaled 81. I tacked on the S. And there wasn't just one butthead, but 2 buttheads. Dollar word. I was just about to call that out. I had found one when Peter beat me to it. I've got a word, he yelled. Buttocks. He strutted to the board like it was the coolest thing on sliced bread and wrote it for the class. Buttocks, he said again. Buttocs. Peter went on to demonstrate how the word added up to $1. Mr. Terupt didn't interrupt him. Just as I was about to, the new girl did. Buttocks is spelled with a K in it, Peter, Jessica said. Peter looked to Mr. Terupt. Sorry, Peter. She is right. Better try again. And maybe you should choose a different type of word than the ones that you've been coming up with. Peter slunk back to his seat. No surprise to me, Mr. Terupt knew what Peter was up to the whole time. I raised my hand. Mr. Terupt, I've got one. I walked up to the board and wrote butthead. That was followed by a chorus of laughs. Butthead, I said. Butthead adds up to 81 cents, but if you have more than one, then you get buttheads. And buttheads is $1 word. Just as Peter and Alexia. Mr. Terupt snickered. That's enough, Luke, I must say. This isn't a word I was expecting, but nonetheless, it's our first $1 word. Congratulations. Dollar Words was the best math project ever. We started it on Wednesday. $1 word. And worked for 3 weeks through trial and error, a few strategies, and I learned along the way, and some helpful hints from Mr. Terupt. I broke the record for most $1 words. My final poster was covered with 54 of them. Mr. Terupt looked at my work and smiled. Luke, this is excellent. $1 word. You are the $1 word champ. Now, boys and girls, how do you feel about Luke? He says he likes school. Came across a little arrogant, I think. Arrogant is when you think you're better than someone else and you strut about it. But But he used a strategy for coming up with dollar words. And I like that challenge. Now, do you think Luke was right in using the word buttheads as a dollar word for the game in a classroom setting? Why or why not? What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Now we're going to read about another character in Mr. Terupt's book. Her name is Alexia. I was like, I have this new guy for a teacher. That's so cool. Mr. Terupt was nice and he let us sit in tables, not rows. I was like, no way, are you serious? And like the best I got to sit with my friend Danielle. There was this new girl in our class, Jessica. She wasn't at our table, but I needed to talk to her. I needed to tell her who she could be friends with. She seemed like she could be pretty cool, even though she carried a book like a teddy bear. I found her at recess. Outdoor recess is held behind the school. That's a big blacktop area with black basketball hoops and hopscotch. There's a playground equipment in another spot and a large field for running around and playing sports like kickball or football. That's where the gazebo is too, by the edge of the field. I found Jessica sitting alone on the steps of the gazebo and she was reading a book. I was like, oh, what a loser. But I went up to her. Hey, I said. Hi, she said back. You're Jessica, right? Yes. I blew a bubble with my gum and sat down. I'm Alexia, I said. My friends call me Lexi. I found the compact mirror in my purse and checked my Rockstar purple lip gloss. Then I was like, so where'd you come from? We moved from California, the new girl said. I used to live in California too. I started playing with the stones that lay under my feet. It's always been easier for me to lie when I don't have to look at a person's eyes. We moved because my dad got sick and needed the doctors here. I'm sorry, Jessica said. She started playing with the stones now too. Listen, I said, you're new here, so let me help you a little. If you want, that is. I snapped my gum. Sure, okay. I stopped playing with the stones and scooted closer to her. Want a piece of gum? No, thanks, she said. Of course not, little Miss Perfect. I put the gum back in my purse. That girl, I said, pointing to Danielle across the playground. You can't miss her. She's the fat one. I laughed, but Jessica didn't. That's Danielle. Watch out for her. She's like somebody you don't want to be friends with. But don't you sit with her in class? I thought you were friends. I wasn't expecting this. Usually girls just listen and follow along. I blew a bubble and snapped my gum again. Yeah, she used to be cool, but she's been saying stuff about you, calling you Miss Goody Two-Shoes and a snotty bookworm. Jessica seemed surprised. Oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know, she said. Don't worry. And I put my arm around her. Stick with me and I'll help you out. It'll be great. Then recess ended and that's how I got the girl. War started. Wow. I don't know how I feel about this girl Alexia right now. She's not leaving a very good impression with me. Why would Alexia say that, about Danielle? What could be her motive? Now, do you think Jessica believed her? Let me know in the comments. Jeffrey. The kids in my class are all right. I have to deal with Alexia again. Plus her feather boas and leopard print clothes and her stupid purse. I wonder what kind of makeup she puts on this year. She's so dumb. She thinks she's a Hollywood star or something. Then there's Luke. I don't mind him. He's just smart and serious about school. And Danielle's in my class. She's fat. And then there's Peter, a wise guy, a total smart aleck. I wanted to tell Terupt that Peter spent all his time in the bathroom because he was messing around. But Terupt figured it out, and even if he was new, he seems smart. I just don't want to... I just don't want him trying to figure me out. I'm no good. School sucks. And that's all we get from Jeffrey. Now notice how Jeffrey describes everyone else. And how does he describe himself? Why do you think that is? And why is his introduction so short? It's not even a full page. Tell me in the comments. Okay, so now we're on page 16. And I turned the page and it says Danielle. So we've heard about Danielle a couple of times in previous chapters. So now we're going to get her perspective, her point of view. Let's see how this goes. School wasn't so great. My teacher seemed pretty nice and he could be funny too, but none of that matters when you don't have friends. Lexi had done this stuff to me before. One day she's my friend, the next she's not. I don't even know why. I'm not mean to her. This year was the worst though. Things started out fine. Then one day after recess, Lexi started ignoring me, pretending I wasn't there. She would talk about things right in front of me and leave me out of the conversation. She started telling stupid fat jokes. It was horrible. I cried at home a lot. I'm a little heavy, well, bigger, I guess. I don't like saying I'm fat. I don't know why I am. I watch what I eat and I don't have any more than the other girls eat at lunch. Mom says I'll grow into my body. She's not fat. Neither is my brother, Charlie, or grandma or grandpa or dad, grandma says. Grandma says, you've got to have some meat in your bones, girl. Yeah, grandma, I think. So someone like Lexi can tell fat jokes about me. I don't say anything though. Grandma doesn't get it. Only mom understands, and I feel a little better when she reassures me that I'll thin out as I grow. She also tells me that there must be a reason why I'm having to deal with this. It's making you a better person, she says, and someday this experience will help you. That's all great, but I wish I could grow into my body now. We live on a farm. My mom grew up here. My grandma and grandpa lived in their own house, next to ours. They help us run the farm. So my grandma's around a lot, and she wanted to know what was wrong with me, why I was crying. Anytime I mentioned Lexi, she'd get all mad, and I'm going into next school and fix that girl, she'd say. No, Grandma. Why are you even still friends with her? She doesn't know how to treat people well, especially a friend. It's not her fault, Grandma. It's this new girl's fault, I said, sticking up for Lexi the way I always do. I know a new girl that I can't stand. If you keep telling yourself that, it won't ever get better, Grandma said. She's a tough woman. The only time I've got friends is when I'm in Lexi's group. Nobody wants to be friend with a fat kid. I don't know what to do. Grandma says a prayer with me that night, and we knelt by the bed. Dear God, please give Danielle the strength to stand up to the mean girls in school, or do what you can to teach Alexia a lesson. If you made her fat, that would be all right by me. I elbowed Grandma. Oh, okay, she said. I just ask that you provide Danielle with some comfort and direction during these tough times. We pray for the good weather to hold up and for the farm. Amen. So now we get that Danielle thinks very poorly of Jessica. But was it Jessica's fault, though? So now we have a little triangle of discord. We have Alexia, Jessica, the new girl, and Danielle. I hope this girl drama gets fixed up quickly. Do you think there's a fix for it? How would you fix it? What would you do to make things right? Tell me in the comments. All right, so now we've come to the very last character that we're going to be introduced to. This is Anna. And remember in the blurb, it said that Anna was the shy one. So let's see what Anna has to say. So far, we haven't heard any of the other characters talk about Anna. So let's pay attention to her details, right? Anna. I didn't say much in school, and I never raised my hand. That would have been an easy way for people to notice me, and I didn't want to be noticed. People can be real mean. That's something Mom warned me about, and my mom knows, trust me. I didn't have any close friends, and I wasn't looking for any. Mom was my best friend. Not getting noticed was never a problem for me before. I was always quiet, and I behaved, so the teachers left me alone. I kept my head down and I looked at the floors a lot, but I'm a good observer. Mrs. Williams, our principal, winks whenever there's some big surprise coming. It's something I noticed a few years ago. If you keep quiet, you have time to look and listen and take things in. At the beginning of the year, the first thing you pay attention to is the classroom. We had a nice room, a big one. There was a whole wall of windows opposite the door. Mr. Terup's desk was in the corner by those windows. The students' desks were arranged in 5 tables of four. So right away I knew we had a teacher who was into teamwork, and we probably didn't mind a little talking. Otherwise, we would have been in old-fashioned rows. The front of the room had the blackboard, and the back wall had a whiteboard. The last side of the room had all our cabinets and a sink, plus a drinking fountain. Most of the room was carpeted except for the side by the sink and fountain. Our door was next to the fountain. The bigger thing you pay attention to in the beginning is your teacher, especially if he's new like Mr. Terupt. Right away I could tell that he was a reader because there were books everywhere in our room. Mom liked that when I told her. Mom's a library assistant in another school. It's a good job. She has the same schedule I do, and it allows her to take some classes at night. She's studying art, something she missed out of when she was younger. She's really good at drawing and painting. Mr. Terupt was young and athletic looking. He didn't have any pictures around his desk, or he didn't wear a wedding ring. Mrs. Newberry from across the hall didn't have a wedding ring either. Neither did Mom. Mr. Terupt turned out to be different. He noticed me the very first day. It didn't matter that I wasn't raising my hand, because he would say, Anna, get ready, I'm calling on you next. Or if we were talking about something and there wasn't just one opinion, he would say, Anna, what do you think? He wasn't going to let me hide all year. This made me nervous, but it turned out to be a good thing in the end. So, in Anna's chapter, it seems like she's pretty straightforward. She's very observant. She may not talk much, but she pays attention to detail. Like, I like how she described the classroom. Now we can visualize what that classroom looked like. She described the walls, the floor, that there's a sink, the cabinets. So if you close your eyes, you can kind of visualize what the classroom looks like now. You can give yourself a little orientation as you're reading along what the classroom looks like. She also gave us a little description about Mr. Terupt. He's not wearing a wedding ring. He's athletic looking. So it seems to me that from now on, whenever we are reading and we hear from Anna Seems to me like she's going to be giving us a lot of descriptions, a lot of visualizations. So pay attention to her. She didn't talk about anyone. She just seems rather shy, but it looks like Mr. Terupt is going to help her out. So what do you think about Anna?